Little 8-bit weapon for you, Space Lab. Earlier in the program, we heard Yonzi with Boy Lilikoi. Of course, we opened up the show with Diastro and Light Powered. Space Lab. We gotta get to the show here. Love that track. Mastercraft tribute. Anywho, we're back here on the Unified Field, and we have a fantastic interview coming up right here from the Psychic Fair. This is Mrs. Sylvia Richards.
My name is Sylvia Richards, and basically I read tarot cards. I'm offering readings of 30 minutes or 15 minutes here at the Psychic Fair. And I can custom the reading to whatever the person desires. You can ask 6 little questions or 1 big question, or have a general reading, whatever you choose. And we have a lot of fun.
That sounds like a blast. I was always interested in tarot cards, and my sister was as well when she was younger, and my girlfriend now, I can say, is also involved in rune stones. And the two of us are actually very open-minded to all of these ideas of spirituality and expanding consciousness. And I think right now in life on planet Earth here, we're in a very important transitional time, and the ability for us to keep our minds open and maybe tap into these sources that are currently unknown to science, which is almost a mockery unto itself because of the information that they are not looking at. It's an important time to look into these sort of things. Now, can you explain to us and the listeners here on CKDU and the Unified Field exactly when this phenomenon began for you, and maybe how you realized that you had some sort of insight or gift?
Yes. Well, as for when it began, we have to go right back to my childhood, because basically I was a troubled child, didn't fit in, didn't know why, thought everybody did this. And then I was very quickly disabused of that idea when I went to school. For a long time I didn't do it, and I kept myself to myself. But I have always had a very strong urge to help people. And reading the tarot cards, it's a way of doing it which cuts through everything. You can sit in front of a psychiatrist, and no disrespect to psychiatrists, you can sit in front of a psychoanalyst for session after session before you get a breakthrough. I can do that in 5 minutes with the cards. People know that I know what's going on, so why would they hide anything?
Exactly. Now you say that you realized that you were tapping into something as a youngster and felt almost ostracized because no one else was kind of sharing their own stories. You thought everybody was like that until you realized you got into school and they weren't like that. Explain to me exactly what you mean by what this particular gift is.
Okay. Well, what the gift is, I see things in the mind. All right, I want to make that clear. I don't see spirits standing beside a person. I see things in my mind. I get messages that I know are not coming from me. And I can just know when something's going to happen. So, for one instance, I have to tell you, I was standing next to a teacher at school, and I suddenly stepped up and pushed her. And I pushed her off the spot she was on, and a piece of masonry fell from the roof right onto the spot that she was on. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew that I had to do something. And then, of course, all the kids thought I was weird.
So that story got around school, obviously.
Oh, yeah, you want to believe it?
Now, how did the teacher react to that? Was she...
She was pretty freaked out, I can tell you, and she really didn't know. In those days, I mean, we're going back a little while now, and in those days, you kind of didn't do things like that. I was brought up in a very strict Christian household, and this sort of thing was no.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the length of a human life, it's such a grain of sand in the great expanse of history and time here in the universe itself. Things seem to be happening at an accelerated rate here, because it's only in your lifetime that you've seen things just come full circle, and we're almost returning to an indigenous idea of information and knowledge that was almost suppressed for hundreds or even thousands of years that we're now returning to, and this acceptance of this information that maybe, you know what, this isn't, such I don't know how I should say it, so taboo in a sense. What other stories can you recount from your childhood that kind of assist us in understanding where you've come from?
Oh, there's quite a few.
I'm glad.
But I would like to just say something about what you were saying about the knowledge and the esoteric nature of it not being safe to release to the public for many years. And now, this time on Earth is very special. We are evolving. And it's almost like they're saying, here, you didn't get it, here it is, on a plate, look at it, this is your last chance. You can take it or you needn't, but this is it.
I've got a million questions in my mind now that we're speaking. This is so fascinating. And I don't know if I want to go off track on that.
Okay.
So how exactly does it work for you here at the Psychic Fair? And how can our listeners contact you if they're looking into having a tarot reading?
Okay. Well, I live in Dartmouth, and I've got my business details right here at the Psychic Fair, which I'll give out. I have a website called Your Spiritual Haven, and that's very easy, www.yourspiritualhaven.com. It's a fun site. It's a little village where you go through and you click on a house and you'll go in, you'll find aromatherapy, you'll find herbs, you'll find tarot readings, you'll find healers, and meditations and everything else. And my phone number in Dartmouth is 435-2559, and I do readings at my house.
This is really exciting. Sylvia Richards, you're such a nice lady. I just feel so welcomed being here and talking to you. So I know you have a little piece of a sandwich left that you're trying to eat. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But when you mentioned before about this knowledge that's been almost suppressed or hidden, that's sort of being re-emerged, you said that it's almost as if it's being thrown out onto a plate, and it's and whatever this source is, or entity, or vessel that this information is coming from is saying, this is your last chance. Excuse me. And I have to make the connections. My show is called The Unified Field, and it's the idea in physics that there's a unifying theory that connects every theory in physics. And it's not just gravity, and it's not just time, and it's not just space, but it all connects into one unifying idea. And I almost make the analogy to the idea, I call it the source. I almost feel like there are times when I become electric.